Okay, jobs for today. Steering head bearings. First thing we're going to do, get the new shells into the freezer. Probably should have done that last night, but didn't think we were going to have the weather to do anything today, but it's dry and reasonably sunny, so we're going to take advantage. Second job, old shells out of the frame. So that's our two main tasks for today. Let's get going. Right then, here's our new bearings. This one actually put the new dust seal on, but obviously we're not going to put that in the fridge. Here's our shell. Here's our shell for our second one. And before we put them in the freezer, if we don't do this, Michelle will not be happy. Let's pop them in a bag. So we're going to get those in the freezer, and then we'll move on to the removing the old ones from the frame. Right, that's the shells in the freezer. Let's get these wrapped back up, just to make sure we don't lose them and we know where they are. Yeah, let's put this cover on again, just so we don't lose it. Okay. Right, before I start pulling on this frame, I thought it best to get it strapped down. Otherwise, we're not going to get any purchase on it. So at least now when I start pulling on this, it shouldn't move around too much. So, although I've seen people remove these shells just using a screwdriver and a hammer, as this is all the gear and no idea, I thought I should go on to Vinted and purchase a shell removal tool or bearing removal tool and see if we can do this properly. So we'll see if this is the correct one. If not, it's going to be that one. If it's stubborn, we can encourage it with this, and if it's really stubborn, we're going to burn it with this. So let's crack on, see if we can get these shells out. Oh, I think that's going to be everything we need. Let's get our handle screwed onto the top of here so this doesn't come flying off. And let's see which one of these is going to fit. Too small, fractionally too big, but I think that's the one. So let's see if we can give it a little bit of encouragement. Well, that's not going to work, is it? So I did think with a little bit of persuasion that might have popped in, but we all make mistakes, and this is one of mine. So that is pretty well wedged in there. So I think we need to knock that out, and this might be a case of we're going to knock these shells out with a screwdriver. But let's see how we get on. Right. So let's see if we can use the slide hammer that came with the kit to get this out. So we're nice and secure. Let's see. Well, it's loosening. Well, the intention was just to get the tool out of the bearing or out of the shell. All it's actually done is pulled the shell straight out. Lovely job. Look at that. So before we try and get the next one out, we need to get some of this old grease out of here. just because I don't want to be sliding that tool through and it getting covered in all this crap. Right then, let's see if we can fit this through and hopefully get the bearing out the bottom. The only problem we've got is there's a steering lock that may stop this dropping. Yeah, we got no chance of getting that out. So I think we're going to have to resort to using a screwdriver. I think we've got a bit of purchase on there just to be able to get that out, but at least we've got the top one out. Let's see if we can get the bottom one out without causing any damage. I think we've got enough of a lip there to knock it out. A little bit. Here you go. Easier than I expected. Normally when I do a job, something goes horribly wrong and it takes me 3 times longer than it should, but that was nice and easy. Great job. So there we go. Shells all out. We'll give that a little bit of a clean up and hopefully give it an hour or so. We'll make sure those new shells are cooled down enough. We'll heat this up and hopefully the new ones will drop in as easy as those came out. He says hopefully, but so far, thumbs up. So what I want to do is preheat this a little bit before I go and get the shells to put in. So let's go and get the shell, then we'll give it another little bit of heat and hopefully it'll drop straight in. Hopefully. So we've got the old shell, we've got the encourager, and I've been and fetched the first shell from the freezer. So let's get a bit more heat into this. Forgive the lighting, I've had to shut the garage door because the wind was blowing through and this would have gone quite cool. You can see my breath, it's not particularly warm in here. Right, let's go for it. A nice piece of brass so it's soft. That's better. Well, again, one of those jobs that's gone easier and quicker than I thought it would. Again, pleased with that. Right, let's get this second one heated up. Get our insulation out the way first. If anybody's been on the fat jab, this is what your Manjaro comes wrapped in when it's left outside your door to keep it cool. So I'm using it to keep the shells cool while I bring them down from the freezer because my house is about 100 meters away from the garage. let's go and get our second shell. So let's get a bit more heat back into this. Hopefully that will do it. So I've tried to touch the bearing as little as possible. I get them there. So our piece of brass is ready, hammer's ready. Well, couldn't have gone any sweeter than that. Absolutely perfect. That's dropped in perfectly flush. Things are going far too well. Well, thanks for watching this episode. I've actually managed to get the jobs done that I wanted to get done, which makes a pleasant change. Things don't normally go quite that smoothly. If you join me next time, hopefully we'll start getting the welding done. After I've had a little bit of practice, we'll show you that, successes and fails. But thanks for watching. Join me next time.